What if your anxiety isn't a flaw, but a message? What if the tightness in your chest, the racing thoughts, and that sink-in feeling in your stomach are not problems to fix, but signs that you're being called to something greater? In a world where stress is normalized and anxiety is often treated like a disease, what if we've been misunderstanding the message all along? Welcome to this deep dive into the book Beyond Anxiety: Curiosity, Creativity, and Finding Your Life's Purpose by Martha Beck, a brilliant life coach, Harvard-trained sociologist, and spiritual guide for thousands around the world. In this video, we'll explore the powerful idea that anxiety isn't the enemy. In fact, it could be the starting point of your transformation. Martha Beck offers a groundbreaking perspective. Anxiety shows up when your life is moving in the wrong direction, when you're ignoring your soul's signals. Let that sink in. Anxiety isn't random. It isn't meaningless. It's intelligent. It's purposeful. And if you listen closely, it could be the key to finding your true self. Over the next 40 minutes, we'll uncover how your curiosity and creativity, two powers you were born with, can completely change your relationship with anxiety. You'll learn how to decode the signals of your emotions, connect with your deeper purpose, and finally begin to live in integrity with who you truly are. This isn't about surface-level solutions or quick fixes. It's about rewiring your entire inner compass. If you've ever felt stuck in fear, trapped in routines that don't fulfill you, or constantly overwhelmed by life's chaos, stay with me. This might be the shift you've been searching for. Let's begin the journey beyond anxiety. Let's begin by understanding how Martha Beck defines anxiety, not as a medical condition to suppress, but as an internal signal of misalignment. In most of modern society, anxiety is seen as something we need to escape from. We're told to distract ourselves, to numb it with entertainment, medication, endless productivity, or shallow self-help advice. The cultural message is clear: anxiety is bad. Get rid of it. But Martha flips that script. She writes that anxiety isn't a malfunction, it's a message. It's your soul saying, something about this life you're living isn't true to who you really are. This view is radical. It demands that we stop seeing anxiety as a random villain and start seeing it as a wise guide. A smoke alarm that goes off when something deep inside you knows you're out of alignment with your truth. Think of it this way. If your hand touches a hot stove, the pain you feel isn't a malfunction. It's a signal. It's your body saying, "This isn't right. Move away." Similarly, when you feel anxious, it might not be because your brain is broken. It might be because you're doing something your soul doesn't want to do. Maybe you're stuck in a career that kills your spirit. Maybe you're pretending to be someone you're not just to please others. Maybe you've silenced your real desires because they didn't fit someone else's plan for you. In Martha's words, anxiety is the pain of self-betrayal. When we live in ways that are disconnected from our own integrity, from our truth, our body and mind begin to protest. That protest shows up as anxiety. So instead of pushing it away, Martha invites us to turn toward it, to ask it questions, to get curious. What are you trying to tell me? What part of my life feels false, forced, or fake? Where am I abandoning myself to meet someone else's expectations? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are powerful. This shift in perspective can be life-changing, because if anxiety is a signal of misalignment, then healing it isn't about shutting it up. It's about listening, adjusting, and realigning with your inner truth. Martha calls this process returning to integrity. And integrity, for her, doesn't just mean being honest. It means living in harmony with what you truly believe, value, and feel. This changes everything, because now anxiety becomes a compass, not a curse. And that compass, when followed with curiosity and creativity, will lead you to your most authentic life. So, the next time anxiety shows up, try not to see it as a threat. See it as a wise messenger. Because according to Martha Beck, that's exactly what it is. Now that we understand anxiety as a signal, not a flaw, the next question is, what is it signaling? What are the root causes behind this feeling of unrest? According to Martha Beck, anxiety often arises from a misalignment with our authentic self. It's not just about stress or a busy schedule. It goes much deeper. Let's break down the primary causes she identifies. 1. Disconnection from the true self. From an early age, we're taught who we're supposed to be. We learn to wear masks to please others, to conform, to achieve, to perform, and slowly our connection to the true self gets buried under layers of expectations. That buried self doesn't go away. It waits, sometimes for years, even decades. And when it's ignored for too long, it starts to whisper. Then it starts to shout. That shout is anxiety. Martha describes this as soul suppression. It's when your deeper self knows what it wants, but your outer self won't allow it to speak. 2. Over-identification with cultural programming. We live in a world that glorifies busyness, perfection, productivity, and external success. We're constantly bombarded with messages that say, you must hustle to matter, you must achieve to be worthy, you must fit in to be loved. These messages run deep. They shape our behavior, our choices, even our identity. But here's the truth. When we live by lies, even popular ones, our bodies suffer, says Martha. And that suffering often shows up as anxiety. So if you've ever felt anxious while doing what society says you should do, that's not failure. That's a sign your soul is pushing back against a life that doesn't fit. 3. Suppression of curiosity and creativity. Children are naturally curious. They ask questions, make things, explore the world without fear. But over time, that curiosity gets shut down. We're told to color inside the lines, to follow the rules, to stick to what's practical. Creativity becomes a luxury, not a necessity. But Martha argues the opposite. Creativity is the antidote to anxiety. When we suppress our curiosity, when we stop asking, exploring, and imagining, our inner world shrinks. And that constriction breeds fear. Creativity and anxiety cannot coexist. The more you create, the less space anxiety has to grow. 4. The internal conflict between logic and intuition. Most of us are taught to trust logic above all else. We're told that rational thinking is the only safe way to navigate the world. But every person has an inner voice, an intuition that quietly guides them. When logic and intuition align, life flows. But when they're in conflict, when your mind says stay, but your soul says go, that tension creates anxiety. Martha teaches us to reclaim our inner knowing, to not just ask what's logical, but also what feels deeply true. Final thought for this section. So often, Anxiety is not a malfunction of the mind. It's a message from the heart, the soul, the body, the creative self, all saying, please come home to yourself. The root causes of anxiety are not flaws to be eliminated. They are invitations, calling you back to the life you were meant to live. And that life begins with curiosity. If anxiety is the voice of fear, then curiosity is the voice of healing. Martha Beck teaches that curiosity is the opposite of anxiety. Where anxiety closes the mind, curiosity opens it. Where anxiety says run, curiosity says look closer. Where anxiety panics over what might go wrong, curiosity calmly asks, what's really going on here? Have you ever watched a child explore something new? They're not thinking about results. They're not afraid of looking foolish. They follow their interest without hesitation, led by wonder, not fear. That's the power of curiosity, and it's still inside you. Why curiosity works? Curiosity is not just an emotional shift, it's a neurological one. When you become curious about something, your brain moves out of a defensive state and into a learning state. The amygdala, which triggers fear, calms down. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for reasoning and insight, lights up. Martha explains it this way: you can't be curious and anxious at the same time. It's a neurological truth. You can't feel wonder and fear in the same breath. Curiosity is like a switch that turns off panic and turns on possibility. How to activate curiosity in daily life? So, how do you start? You don't need big changes or deep revelations. You start small. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What's underneath that feeling? What's tiny thing am I curious about today? Even if you're overwhelmed or stuck, try this. Don't force answers. Just ask questions. Let your mind wander gently. Let wonder return. You might be surprised how fast things begin to shift. The power of gentle noticing. Martha encourages something she calls gentle noticing. It means paying attention to your life without judgment. You don't analyze or criticize, you just observe. You stay curious. What parts of my life make me feel small? What conversations light me up? What do I daydream about when I'm bored? This is curiosity at its best. It's not invasive or aggressive. It's soft, warm, open, and it leads you back to yourself. Curiosity breaks the cycle of fear. Here's the thing. Fear feeds on certainty. It needs a clear enemy, a clear danger, a closed mind. But curiosity thrives in the unknown. The moment you become curious, fear loses its grip. You begin to see your anxiety not as a trap, but as a trail, leading you to the questions that matter most. This is the beginning of healing, because healing doesn't start with answers. It starts with better questions. A simple practice. Here's something you can try today. Next time you feel anxious, pause. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Then ask, gently, what is this anxiety trying to tell me? And no matter what answer comes up, stay curious. Keep asking. keep listening. Curiosity is your compass. Follow it, and you'll find that beyond your anxiety lies your truth. If curiosity opens the door, then creativity is the path you walk through it. Martha Beck reminds us that we are all born creators. Not just painters, poets, or musicians. Every human being has the power to imagine, design, build, and transform. But somewhere along the way, many of us forget this. We're told that creativity is a luxury, something for artists, or something we do only when the work is done. But in truth, creativity is essential to our mental health. And when it's blocked, anxiety grows. What happens when creativity is suppressed? When we suppress our creative instincts, whether it's the desire to write, to dance, to start a new project, to try something new, we also suppress a deep part of our soul. We become rigid, closed. Life starts to feel mechanical, repetitive, hollow. Martha says, when you stop creating, you stop evolving. Anxiety thrives in this kind of environment, when life feels stale, when we're no longer exploring, when we stop expressing the essence of who we are. In her book, Martha shares stories of people who found healing, not through medication or therapy alone, but through rediscovering their creativity. People who picked up forgotten hobbies, people who took risks to follow long-ignored dreams, people who created something, even something small, that reconnected them to joy. Creativity is not about results. One of the most freeing insights from Martha is this: creativity isn't about being good, it's about being real. You don't have to be a skilled artist or a professional writer to be creative. Creativity has nothing to do with perfection. It's about expression. It's about bringing something from your inner world into the outer world, no matter how imperfect, messy, or small. You might be creative when you journal your thoughts, rearrange your room, cook a new recipe, solve a problem in a new way. Try something just for fun. These acts may seem simple, but they're powerful. They signal to your nervous system, I'm not trapped. I'm creating. I have power. And that alone can begin to soothe anxiety. Flow state and presence. Creativity also leads to what psychologists call flow state, that feeling of being fully immersed, lost in the moment, time fading away. In flow, anxiety disappears because you're not in the future or the past. You're here, alive, focused, engaged. And that's the state your soul craves. Martha often emphasizes that purpose isn't something you find in your head. You find it in action, in creation. You don't wait to feel ready. You start small, you follow the spark, and you let creativity lead you back to life. A small step today. So here's a simple invitation. Do one small creative thing today. Not because it's productive, not because it'll impress anyone, but because it feels true. Draw something. Write something. Build something. Sing. Rearrange. Redesign. Play. Let go of outcomes. Let go of judgment. Just create for the joy of creating. That act alone tells your brain, I'm alive, I'm safe, I'm free to explore. And your anxiety will begin to quiet down. So far, we've explored how curiosity opens us and how creativity brings us to life. Now we arrive at one of Martha Beck's most profound ideas, that your life purpose isn't something to chase, it's something to uncover. And the key to uncovering it? Emotional honesty. The lie that creates anxiety. Many of us live in quiet disconnection from our truth. We smile when we're hurting. We say yes when we mean no. We stay silent when our soul wants to speak. Why? Because we were trained to survive, not to be authentic. We learned that telling the truth, especially emotional truth, could lead to rejection, judgment, or pain. But Martha teaches that truth is freedom, and the first truth you must honor is your own feelings. You can't find your purpose while lying to yourself, she writes. When you deny your emotional reality, you cut off the signals that are trying to guide you. Your emotions are not the enemy, they are your compass. What is emotional honesty? Emotional honesty is not about oversharing or dramatizing. It's about recognizing your internal reality, even when it's inconvenient, even when it doesn't fit the role you're expected to play. It's pausing to admit, I'm not okay. This doesn't feel right. I don't want this. I long for something else. These statements may feel scary, but they are deeply powerful. They reconnect you to your inner authority, the place inside you that knows what's true. The body as a truth detector. Martha emphasizes the role of the body in this journey, because your body knows the truth long before your mind does. When you're aligned with truth, your body feels relaxed, open, alive. When you're out of alignment, your body contracts. You feel tightness, heaviness, even physical pain. Try this now. Think of a decision you've been struggling with. Now, notice how your body feels when you imagine saying yes. Then, imagine saying no. Which version feels more like freedom? That feeling of freedom, however subtle, is your clue. Your emotions are messengers. Your body is your lie detector. Integrity equals inner alignment. Martha describes this alignment as living in integrity. But integrity here doesn't mean morality. It means wholeness. It means your thoughts, words, actions, and emotions are all aligned. No more pretending. No more splitting yourself in two. When you live this way, you stop searching for purpose in the outside world because you begin to feel it rising naturally from within. Purpose is not a destination. It's the feeling of being real every moment of your life. A gentle practice. Here's a practice to help you begin. At the end of each day, ask yourself, where did I tell the truth today? Where did I hide it? What felt expansive and what felt constricting? Don't judge the answers, just notice. Over time, this simple act of emotional honesty will become a habit, and that habit will build a life rooted in truth, peace, and purpose. Because your soul doesn't want a perfect life, it wants a real one. And real life begins when you finally say, "This is how I actually feel." Now that we've explored curiosity, creativity, and emotional honesty, we reach the heart of Martha Beck's message. Transformation is not only possible, it's your natural path. But here's the truth most people miss. Transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's not a light switch. It's a journey. And this journey has distinct stages, each one necessary, each one sacred. Let's walk through them together. 1. Discomfort and breakdown. Every transformation begins with discomfort. It might look like burnout, anxiety, confusion, or even crisis. This is the stage where your current life starts to feel unbearable. Nothing seems to fit anymore. You may feel stuck, restless, or even lost. Most people fear this phase, but Martha invites us to embrace it. When everything falls apart, that's when the real you begins to emerge. Discomfort is not a sign you're broken. It's a sign you're waking up. 2. Awakening curiosity. Once the discomfort becomes undeniable, a new question arises. What else is possible? This is the beginning of curiosity. You start noticing what lights you up, even in small ways. You begin to wonder what life would feel like if it were more aligned with your truth. It may feel subtle at first, like a whisper. But that whisper is powerful. Follow it. Curiosity leads you to explore, to dream again, to ask better questions. And with those questions, new paths begin to appear. 3. Playing with creativity. As curiosity grows, you start to create. Not perfectly, not professionally, just freely. This stage is playful, experimental, and deeply healing. You begin to realize, I am not stuck. I can shape my experience. And that realization is the seed of empowerment. 4. Aligning with integrity and purpose. The more you express your truth, the more you discover what truly matters. You start living with integrity, not in the moral sense, but in the sense of wholeness. Your words match your values. Your actions match your emotions. Your life begins to feel like it's finally yours. And this is where purpose reveals itself, not as a grand mission, but as a quiet clarity. You no longer have to search for meaning, because meaning is woven into everything you do when you live in alignment with your truth. 5. Ongoing evolution. Transformation doesn't end with one breakthrough. It's a cycle, one you'll return to again and again. Discomfort will visit again. Curiosity will rise again. Creativity will express again. And with each round, you'll grow deeper into your true self. This is not failure. This is life. And the more you embrace the process, the less fear you'll feel, because you'll know that each stage, even the messy ones, is part of something beautiful. Remember, you don't have to be fearless. You just have to be curious enough to begin, creative enough to try, and honest enough to stay true. That is transformation, and that is how you move beyond anxiety.
So here we are, at the end of this journey through Beyond Anxiety by Martha Beck. We began with a radical idea that anxiety is not a flaw in your system. It's a signal from your soul, a message that something in your life is out of alignment with your deepest truth. And now, you know what that signal is pointing to. It's pointing to curiosity, the courage to ask, what else is possible? It's pointing to creativity, the bravery to shape your life in new ways. It's pointing to emotional honesty, the integrity to feel what's real and speak your truth. And ultimately, it's pointing to purpose, not as something you must earn, but something you already are. Your life doesn't begin when anxiety ends. One of Martha's most powerful teachings is this: you don't need to fix yourself to begin living your purpose. You just need to stop abandoning yourself. You don't have to wait until you feel calm. You don't need to be fearless, flawless, or fully healed. You only need to begin. Begin listening. Begin creating. Begin noticing what feels true. Begin following what feels alive. Every step you take in alignment with your truth, no matter how small, is a step beyond anxiety. A final invitation. As we close this video, I want to invite you to try something. Take one honest breath. Check in with yourself and ask, what is one small thing I'm curious about today? Then give yourself permission to follow that spark. Maybe it leads to a walk, a conversation, a journal entry, or a new idea. Maybe it leads to nothing at all, except a moment of peace. That's enough. That's more than enough. Because anxiety begins to loosen the moment you return to yourself. Keep going. This is a journey, and like any journey, it won't be perfect. There will be days when fear creeps back in, when the old voices grow loud, when you doubt yourself. But now you have the tools. When anxiety rises, get curious. When fear grows, get creative. When confusion takes over, get honest. These are not just coping strategies. They are your way back home. Thank you for spending this time with me, truly. If Martha Beck's wisdom touched something inside you, I encourage you to explore more of her work. Read the book, reflect on it, revisit the ideas that resonated with you. And if this video helped you in any way, consider sharing it with someone who might need it too. Subscribe for more videos like this, gentle, thoughtful, and rooted in real transformation. Comment below, what part of this message stood out to you the most? Like the video if it helped you shift even a little, and tap the bell to be notified when the next one comes out. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are on your way back to your real self, and your real self is where peace begins.